good so far. Yeah, it's been cool. It's just our second time doing Europe since I released the album, and yeah, it's been great. It's me, my DJ, Mr. Dibbs, my friend Wilder Zobi, who plays keys and synths on stage with us, as well as did some work on my record, and the Mighty Quinn, who's doing backup vocals for me, and that's basically it. Just a tight unit of screaming, sweaty people. I mean, I've been coming out here for years. You know, I'm to Europe and the UK for years, and I don't really. It's not much of a difference, man. You know, I mean, it's kids going to a show, and you get some cities where a lot of people come, and you get some cities where not that many people come. Sometimes the cities where a lot of people come are really boring. The shows are really boring, and they just stand there, but they're there. Sometimes the cities where, you know, a couple hundred people come, and they're losing their minds, and those roles reverse. So, you know, it's really similar to the States. You know, you go to certain cities and it's crazy, and you go to certain cities. The thing I find at our shows is it's always crazy. So you know, I've had a good time doing it, and I do think that kids are maybe a little bit hungrier for live hip hop out here, because it's somewhat more of a rarity, you know. I think that, you know, and so that it's always, I've never looked at it as being worse than the States. Sometimes it's been better. Of course, you go to certain countries and there's the obvious language barrier, but I feel like if you're a good performer and there's a connection, you know, then it can, yeah, and it can transcend that, you know, regardless. You know, Company Flow has been over for a while now, and people will always ask me when the next Company Flow album is and if we're getting back together, and the answer is I don't know. The answer is we've talked about it. If the timing is right and if it feels like the right thing to do, then maybe I'll do it. But right now I'm having way too much fun working on my own music, and I kind of like the fact that we had a good ending to the whole thing, and I'm not really the type of person who likes to look back much. I love those years, but I'm not. It's also kind of weird, right? Because every time you have like some heroes of yours that were in a group and they broke up, you think you want them to get back together until they do get back together, and then all you can do is compare it to the way it made you feel the first time you heard them, and it's never going to be the same. It's never going to make you feel the way it did back then. Yeah, you know, it's like, oh, great, Jordan's back, but now he's old and he can't really do what he used to do. You know, I don't really think that that's really the case with us, but we are in a different mind state, and you know, our record and our sound came out of a friendship between us that was cultivated over years, and our lives have changed drastically. And you know, and I think that if we did any music together, it would have to be something that was just came as friends and that was natural. I don't really think I would want to promote it. I don't think I would want to try and, because it always looks corny, you know, like, hey, Brand Nubian's coming back. You don't remember when Brand Nubian came back and you were kind of excited about it when they got back together, but it was like a little too late, and it was also kind of like, you kind of felt like they didn't like each other still, you know, like maybe they did it because it was a good financial idea. Who knows if that's the truth, but isn't that always the way you look at it? You know, you kind of look at it like, oh shit, EPMD's back together. Wait a second, I thought they hated each other, you know, like maybe they still hate each other, but they just need the money, you know, and I never did anything for that, you know, I never did anything for money, and I never did, and I would be really hesitant to come off that way, you know. I put my first record out in 93, you know. People didn't really start hearing about Company Flow until like 95, 96. So we just thought it was the smart thing to do. We kind of just pressed up a few records and started selling them and realized that we were getting paid and that we didn't have to deal with assholes, you know, and have to explain it to anybody, you know, have to explain why our music didn't sound the way that other people's music did. And, you know, so it's just like, why would I put myself through the drama of that when I can be in control of my life and not feel like an asshole, you know. It's because I'm stubborn, but I think, you know, if I'm going to be an artist and do this as for a living, you know, the second that I'm doing I'm creating music because of an idea other than this is the music I want to create, is the second that it won't mean anything to me anymore. And so, yeah, I will drop it in. If I had to, I would just walk away, because I refuse to tangle myself up in that shit. It's hard enough to be happy, you know. One of the few things that brings me joy is making music the way I like to make it, and conducting business the way that I think it should be conducted, you know. I never intended to be a solo artist. I mean, I thought Company Flow was going to last forever. When I realized that Company Flow wasn't going to last any longer, I had to get myself into the mind frame of making music. But, you know, the one thing that saved me, I think, is that even when we did Company Flow, we did our own songs on the album, you know. So we were used to writing our own songs. It just was a little bit daunting to me. It was a little bit scary. It was kind of like, oh shit, I'm on my own. But once I got used to the idea, it started to feel really right, and it felt a lot easier, because it was like, all right, you know, it's not an easy thing to keep a bunch of people together and in the same mind state, you know what I mean? It's much easier to just follow your own gut and execute it. So